Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday night. I am Anjanette Levy. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to be talking about the Karen Reed retrial, and we'll also be talking about Jen McCabe's testimony, pretty much about the cross-examination, what I thought about it. I know a lot of people have very strong opinions about it and about this case, no matter which side of the aisle you're on. I'm not even sure there's anybody who's watching this case who doesn't have an opinion on Karen Reed's guilt or innocence. It's very divisive. So I'll tell you a story in a minute about, I guess, just how divisive it is. Something very disappointing to me that happened this week that I was absolutely shocked by. But if you're just tuning in, thank you so much for doing so. Please give me a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. And to help me build my little channel here. I'm trying to reach 5,000 subscribers. That's my big new goal. So hoping to do that. Everybody is welcome to, attend this chat. As I said, this is a very divisive topic. I'm covering this case now for basically the second time, as far as the trial goes, doing it more visibly this time around, online crime. And Messica says, hi, Anjanette and team. Thank you for delaying for the Derby watch. Hilarious. I was thinking about that when we just did one on Donna Adelson. I'm like, oh, because, my husband's actually watching the Derby or just watched the Derby. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should have waited. But I'm figuring not everybody's into the Kentucky Derby, but it is a big deal, especially where I live. Kentucky Derby is a big deal. And thank you to Webby and Melmac for helping me out here and moderating. Very, very helpful. And I really appreciate them doing that. Messica says it's perfect timing. I think I walked through there to change my top. I love my little flannel shirt I had on before, but I was like, oh, I should probably change for this. And so I did. And I saw a horse, I think with something around its neck. So some horse, it must have just ended. So it shows you how much I am paying attention to the Kentucky Derby. But yes, as I said, this case is so crazy divisive. It's like totally insane. It's unbelievable to me how mean people are to each other on Twitter and stuff. I think somebody told me this week, because I voiced an opinion about the ARCA stuff and what I thought could happen. Somebody told me I was like as dumb as a plant or something like that. I was like, wow, this is just amazing. So crazy, crazy stuff. If you think Karen Reed's innocent, you are more than welcome to come here and watch. If you think that she is guilty, you're more than welcome to come here and watch. You can tell me what you think. But I just ask that you be respectful to the people who are in the chat. Tell me what you think, and I'm all about that. I'd love to hear you. I'd love to hear what you think either way. But I don't need to hear like all the nastiness. It's silly. CH says some horse won the Kentucky Derby. This is the content I love, right? Some horse won, right? Some horse. So there you go. But I will tell you guys, it's so insane what happened this week. This is how ridiculously divisive this case is. I had on Law and Crime, they've started a membership program. And tell me if you think I should start memberships on this channel, because I'm thinking about doing that and making some emojis. So if you guys would join the membership program, I'll start that. But they started this membership program at Law and Crime at work and asked me to do these members only live streams. And so, okay, yeah. So I invited this attorney, Mark Betterow, on, who is a Karen Reed supporter, and he tried to join her legal team. So I thought, oh, that would be interesting, right? Have this guy on. I've seen clips of him on Twitter, but didn't really know that much about him. I had him on the members only live stream. Nice guy. He and I even talked and chatted before we started the live stream. He took questions from the viewers and stuff like that, about how vitriolic this case has become, how divisive it is, how crazy it is that people are like that with each other. And then, because like we're sitting there talking to each other like normal human beings and being respectful. And so, there's somebody I DM with occasionally I would just reach out to this person occasionally. I'm not going to name them, and say, I would say like, hey, what do you think of this? Or, oh, I'd see this person's tweets and just say, oh, what do you think of this? Or what do you think of that? So just because I like to talk to everybody, whether you think she's guilty, whether you think she's innocent, I want to know what people are saying, what people are thinking. And this person found out or saw on my Twitter feed, apparently, that I had Mark Betterow on the live stream, and all like asked me about that. And I said, oh yeah, I had him on. And even I said, would you like to come on sometime? And this person all of a sudden stopped answering my DMs and unfollowed me on Twitter. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what planet am I on? So I just thought that was insane. So, because this person thinks Karen Read is guilty, and that's fine. But I was just like, that's crazy to me, because I'm covering this case. I want to know what people are saying. And so I don't know. It was just very disappointing to me. So now this person's not responding to my messages or following me anymore. So I'm like, okay, whatever. It says more about you than it does about me. So Mel Max says, I like Mark Betterow. He tells it like it is, in my opinion. It was a very interesting conversation. He thinks Karen Read doing all of those interviews was a mistake. So, I don't know. And he also does not think she will ever testify. That's what he said on our members only stream on Law and Crime, which I think is kind of funny given the fact that she was out there doing all these interviews. But anyway, that's how divisive this case is. I think it's insane. So whatever. So let's talk about Jen McCabe. Everybody's like, oh my God, she's so much different. She's less defiant. And much more softer tone this trial. And I think part of that has to do with the passage of time. Maybe she's been talked to. She said that Hank Brennan did not talk to her about that when she was asked on cross-examination, whether Hank Brennan had talked to her about that. Maybe she watched her testimony and thought, oh, maybe I didn't need to be so, feisty or whatever. I don't know. Or maybe she has an attorney that talked to her. Maybe her family talked to her. Maybe she just, it was I feel like the atmosphere outside the courtroom this time around, the temperature has been turned down quite a bit. You don't see the throngs and throngs of Karen Read supporters outside the courthouse like you did the first trial. It just seems like there's less noise this time around. And so you don't have all that drama going on, I think. So maybe that's part of it. Janet says, I think her own lawyer worked with her. And that's very possible, because she said that she did seek counsel after the feds showed up at her door. She invited them in. She then suspended the interview. She got a lawyer, went back and talked to the feds. And so she does have counsel. So maybe her lawyer was like, you could tone it down a little bit. Yeah. Well, there was a buffer zone last time too. So, there was one last time too. But I'm just saying, you're not seeing all those crowds of people like you were last time. Yeah. CH is saying buffer zone keeping people at bay. So that's true. But there was one last time too. So let's look. This is why this trial is happening. I feel like John O'Keefe's name, you hear it during the trial, but you don't hear it that much. But John O'Keefe, obviously, we've heard many times, was killed and died that morning on January 29th, 2022. He died that morning. And that is why we are here, because he died. And how he died is in dispute at this trial, and why he died is in dispute at this trial. And we all know what everybody is saying about that. We know that Karen Read is saying that she is being framed, and that she believes he was possibly beaten up by the people in the house and then placed outside on the lawn. Meanwhile, the Commonwealth says Karen Read backed up her car after a fight. an argument with John O'Keefe sparked by potentially the mention of Ashley, who is Bella's mom. And Jen McCabe was giving John O'Keefe directions to 34 Fairview and apparently said something like, it's by Ashley's house. And Karen Reed may have overheard this and sparked some kind of argument because John O'Keefe had a relationship of sorts with Ashley, Bella's mom, before he started dating Karen Reed. And that could have sparked some kind of jealous argument. Karen Reed, there was a clip that played yesterday after Jen McCabe's testimony ended where she talks about this whole mention of Ashley. So let's get into Jen McCabe's testimony. She's, on direct, she started by telling the jury in response to questions by Hank Brennan about how she came to know John O'Keefe. And it was because it was through their children. So here's a little bit of just that.
My third daughter was in kindergarten. She became friends with John's niece. And during that kindergarten school year, unfortunately, Kaylee's mother and father both passed away, and John moved in the house and became Mr. Mom.
When John took over guardianship of the children, did you assist in an active role in helping him?
Yes. Kaylee and my daughter were very close, so she would come over and play. My daughter would go over there. Kaylee would come and have sleepovers. A lot of times it would be on Friday nights. I would have Kaylee, and then another individual would have Patrick.
Had you known John O'Keefe well before he took over guardianship of the children?
No.
During the time when he was the guardian of the children, did your relationship, not just with his niece and nephew, but with him, grow any closer?
Yes, we became very good friends.
How close of friends did you become over the years?
Well, throughout the years, obviously when they were younger, we talked more, just about the logistics of CCD, pickup, drop off, basketball, sports. But then he would also call me, about, as the girls got older, the girl drama or, the hormones and things like that.
So, this is kind of one of those big differences in this trial this time around. Hank Brennan kind of lays out more like, the relationships of these people, the background, kind of brings more of a human aspect to it. He kind of draws out and allows the witness to tell a story more. Lally wasn't quite like that, in my opinion. It's a totally different presentation this time around than last time. So let's get to a little bit, let's get to the 227 Google search, the how long to die in the cold Google search. Jen McCabe and the Commonwealth say she searched that at 6:23 a.m. The defense says, no, it happened at 2:27 a.m. and she was doing this search to see how long it would take John O'Keefe to die in the cold. And she did it for whatever reason she did it. The Commonwealth and Jen McCabe say that she did this at the request of Karen Reed, who asked her to do it. Karen Reed flat out denies that she asked Jen McCabe to do this Google search. So let's look at her on direct, talk a little bit about this Google search, and then we'll look at it on cross-examination. And let me just tell you, she was on the stand for basically 2 days because she was on the stand, well, more like 2.5 days, I guess. I'm trying to account for breaks and stuff like that. So a full day on Wednesday, part of the afternoon on Tuesday, and then much of the day yesterday. So she was on the stand for quite a while. So let's take a look at the 227 Google search testimony on direct, and then we'll take a look at some of the cross-examination.
When you go to bed, do you stay up at all?
Yes.
Do you use your iPhone?
Yes, I do.
What were you doing?
I texted a few people, and then I did a couple of Google searches.
And what were the searches for?
One, my daughter had played in a basketball game earlier in the night, and it was a very good game, so I went and I read the report on it. And then my other daughter had an offer to play on a basketball team, so we had to make a decision about whether or not we were going to accept the spot. So I was just looking up that basketball club.
Other than those regular searches that one would do, was there anything remarkable about what you were searching at 2:27 that time frame?
No.
After you were looking at websites for your child's sports, what did you do?
I put my phone down and went to sleep.
And up to that point, had there been any discord or fighting or arguments in your world?
No.
Peaceful night?
Yes.
Did you go to sleep, Miss McCabe?
Yes.
Did you sleep through the night?
I typically get up to go to the bathroom, so that I could have gotten up possibly to go to the bathroom.
Did anything remarkable happen in the early morning hours of January 29, 2022 that changed that peaceful mood into something else?
Yes.
I want you to share with the jury the first thing that happens that changes everything.
At 4:53, my phone rings, and I look at my caller ID. I look at the phone, and it's Kaylee,
And
John's
who's Kaylee?
niece. John's niece. And I say hello, and she said, yeah, well, basically, she relayed to me that,
Next question.
When you pick up the phone, could you hear a voice on the other end?
I heard a voice and a lot of screaming.
And the voice you heard, is that Kaylee, John's niece?
Yes,
And the screaming, was it a man or a woman screaming?
it was a woman,
How loud was that person screaming?
very loud.
Could you make out anything that person was saying as they were screaming?
My name was screamed a lot. And then the other individual ended up getting on the phone with me.
Okay. And who was that person that was screaming in the background?
Miss Reed,
How long was she screaming for while you were speaking to your niece before you spoke to her?
the entire time I was speaking to Kaylee, she was screaming.
Okay, so this played a little longer than I probably should have played it, but she's talking about, if we back it back up, she was talking about the 227 Google search. She's saying that she looked up the sports stuff or what have you, and then she went to bed. So let's look at some of the cross, and it came up a few times on cross, but let's look at a little bit of the cross about the 227 Google search.
Will agree that there was a Google search done, and now I'm going to ask about the content of Hoslong to Die in Cold, correct?
That was done in the morning at the request of Miss Reed.
Mr. McCabe, I didn't ask you that. I asked you a yes or no question. Did you understand my question?
Could you repeat it, please?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Did that record indicate that there was a search at some point done, at some point, for Hoslong to Die in Cold?
I object to recovery in the record.
So was there a search on that at some point?
On that paper, was there a search that said that? Is that the question?
Let's start with that.
Yes. Yeah, there was.
Okay, now let me ask you a different question. You Google searched the phrase Hoslong to Die in Cold. Yes or no?
Yes.
On January 29th, correct?
Yes.
So you agree that you were on Google, correct?
Yes.
You agree that there was a search done at 2:27 a.m., correct?
I don't recall doing a search at 227. The paper says it. I don't.
Okay. And you also agree that at some point that morning, you plugged into that phone Hoslong to Die in Cold. Is that right?
Yes, after we found John O'Keefe.
Now, you claim that that was at 6:23 and at 6:24 in the morning, two iterations of How Long to Die in the Cold. Hoslong to Die in Cold, How Long T.I. Die in CIKD, correct?
I'm not claiming it. It's the truth is what happened.
You're testifying to that.
Yes, I am.
You also testified that at the time you Google searched those phrases, it was Karen Reed screaming and yelling at you, shaking you to Google hypothermia, correct?
She was pulling on my sleeve, yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. You have discussed this Google search and the issue of the hypothermia with Carrie Roberts, correct?
I told her in the days following.
You discussed it? Or no?
Yes.
You discussed it in the days following January 29th, correct?
Yes.
You discussed it before her testimony at the grand jury, correct?
We discussed it after. We don't talk about what we're going to say before testifying or anything like
So in
that.
the 3 months between this incident and the testimony by both you and Ms. Roberts, you two did not discuss this hypothermia issue?
It wasn't an issue. It was just something she said, but we don't discuss it every day. There's no need to.
I didn't ask.
Okay. So Jennifer McCabe is saying she did that Google search at the request of Karen Reed. I do have, Karen Reed outside the courthouse specifically said the other day, I never asked her to do these searches, etc. Here's my whole thing about this. If the search is showing up at 2:27 a.m. and it's got the typo in it, the house long to die in the cold, why is it showing up at 6:23 as well? And then the second one that Alan Jackson mentioned, the how long TIE to die in the whatever it said. I mean, it's just a little too weird for me. So it's like, Ian Whiffen just discussed, obviously the defense is going to have a witness saying it happened at 2:27, but what's the explanation then? Because obviously those two searches at 6:23 and 6:24 a.m. would have been after they found John O'Keefe's body in the snow. So the 2:27 a.m. one, I mean, it's weird that they both would have the typo. If she's laying in bed doing that after searching Hockomock Sports and then the other thing, the scores or whatever, I don't know. Just seems like that would be weird that she would be doing that. So let's go now. I saw welcome Harlot Oscara. CH, we're going to get to this. I'll jump to that next. He didn't come in the house group text, so we're going to get to that next. Let's see. Somebody mentioned Jen's glow up. She looks great. Hair looks great. Skin looks great. Looks great. She looks tan. So there you go. This was something the defense really zeroed in on. And I will just tell you, when the cross-examination started on, what day was it that started? Wednesday. I mean, I don't think Alan Jackson's cross on Wednesday was not good. I mean, I don't think he did it was just not good. I don't know what he was trying to do. Maybe he thought that, he was going to get her to get mad. I don't know. He seemed like to have a softer tone about him with her than last time. I mean, the whole thing just was a little different. But I just feel like I was like, I don't know. It was kind of boring. I wasn't really, I don't know. It's just kind of like, dude, what are we doing? Like, what are you going for here? So, hi, Hollis MJP. Hollis MJP was watching the lunch show yesterday on Law & Crime. It was great. So Little Munchkin Snarky Dog says the FBI said it happened at 2:27, but it wasn't allowed in because of the protective order. Well, their own expert, the defense's own expert, Richard Green, said at trial last time that it happened at 2:27, but I thought at trial last time that he kind of looked silly on cross. So Richard Green did. So I didn't think that Richard Green really held up that great on cross at the last trial. Christina Franz says, I think AJ had a bad day on Wednesday. It happens to the best of us. Well, I mean, sure, of course it does, but this is like a key witness. So CH says, agree, Anjanette. He was trying to impeach her, but was getting trapped in the refreshing her memory cycle. Thank goodness on Friday he pinned her down with, do you deny it? Okay. So can you elaborate on what you mean by that? CH, please put in the comments what you mean, which one, denying what. And again, there's a lot of clips that I have. I'm going to have to like delete some and upload up others. No, I get that. We'll see what I get that, but I'm just telling you in the first trial, at least Richard Green, I thought was made to look a little silly on cross. So we'll see what happens this time around. I wish I was in the courtroom to actually see how the jurors are reacting, because what I'm reading on Twitter, I don't know if I absolutely trust everything I'm reading on Twitter from the various people who are in the courtroom, because it's like, I need to just see it for myself, how these jurors are reacting. I've heard the jurors are very stoic. I've heard some of them are, avid note takers. I want to see for myself. Christina Franz thinks that Alan Jackson redeemed himself some on Friday. I don't know, maybe. I don't know. I still think Jen McCabe held up pretty well. And I'll tell you why in a bit. Let's look now at this next clip I'm going to play. Let me make sure I've got it loaded in here. Hold on, guys. I got to upload this clip. This next clip is about a group text message thread. And this was this is a bunch of text messages between, I believe, Nicole Albert, Matt McCabe, who is Jennifer McCabe's husband, Nicole Albert and Brian Albert. So apparently Channel 4 News up there in Boston showed up in the D&E sub shop, which is owned by Chris Albert. So they showed up and there was a group text and they're talking about this, about the news crew being in there. And so on cross-examination, she is asking, or Alan Jackson is asking Jennifer McCabe about this group text message between all of them. And she had said before this exchange that, yes, she has several group chats, text messages with members of her family. So let's listen to this.
Julie said Channel 4 is in D&E.
And that's from whom?
Brian.
So Brian Albert explain what that text means.
So Brian Albert is telling us that Julie told him Channel 4 is in D&E.
Who's Julie?
I'm sorry, Julie Albert.
Thank you. Let's go to the next text. Ms. McCabe, can you read what this text says, who it's from and who it's to?
This is from Matt McCabe to myself, my sister Nicole, and Brian.
Can you read it for us, please?
Sure. Eating, I assume. Ask Chris to ask some questions. Tell them the guy never went into the house.
What does tell them the guy never went into the house mean to you? How did you take that?
I took that as John never came in the house.
Who's the guy?
John.
John O'Keefe.
Yes.
And the beginning of that sentence is tell them that the guy never came in the house, correct?
Yes.
And the sentence before that is ask Chris to ask some questions, correct?
Yes.
So this is Matt McCabe directing that Chris ask questions of Channel 4, correct?
I wouldn't say directing.
Whatever word you want to use. He was
No, I'm saying that
suggesting.
Matt. I think we're all looking to find out what happened, so Matt was like, ask some questions. What do they know?
And also indicating that Chris should tell them the guy never came in the house, correct?
John never came in the house, correct?
Okay.
So I'd like to hear Matt McCabe asked about this text, since he was the author of the text. Like why is Matt McCabe concerned about this? Like he wasn't even like, I don't know. He was in the house that night, right? He was at the after party. So he's just offering this up. So to me, it's like, this is a question for Matt McCabe. Jennifer McCabe, yes, is his wife. She was on the group text, but this is a question for him. And this is a question for Brian Albert as well. That's my opinion. Let's go now to, there was apparently a phone call that she did not, there's a phone call that she did not talk about before. So let's go to this there was a 5:07 a.m. phone call. Remember, she says at 4:53 a.m., Karen Reed, she wakes to a phone call from John O'Keefe's niece, Kaylee, and Karen Reed's in the background, upset. So at 5:07 a.m., she apparently had called her sister, but not told people about that, but it's in her phone records. So let's watch this little exchange with Alan Jackson.
When the Commonwealth asked questions about who you contacted that morning at the grand jury, you didn't need to have your recollection refreshed with anything. You said, I talked to Karen Reed, I called Julie Albert, I called Tom Eady, correct?
Correct.
And that's exactly what you told Trooper Prince as well. Karen Reed, Julie Albert, Tom Beatty. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
But you did make another phone call that morning that you left out of both of those statements, didn't you?
I'm not sure.
At 5:07 a.m., you called over to 34 Fairview, didn't you?
If it's in my phone record, then I must have.
It's in your phone records that you're aware of. Well, let me ask it a different way. You're aware that your phone records actually show that at 5:07, you called to 34 Fairview Nicole Albert's phone, correct?
Correct.
It shows also that that call lasted 38 seconds, correct?
I'm not sure what it shows.
You actually spoke to your sister, Nicole, that morning?
I did not speak to my sister, no.
So that 38-second call went to voicemail?
I'm not sure. All I can tell you is I never spoke to my sister Nicole that morning prior to waking her up.
But you do acknowledge that you made a phone call at 5:07 to Julie Albert. I'm sorry, to Nicole Albert, your sister, over at 34 Fairview in those early morning hours, correct?
Yes, I learned after. When I'm first being questioned, it's days after. It was a chaotic morning. I remembered the waterfall, Julie, then Tom Beatty. Calling to my sister wasn't as important ingrained in my mind at that point. No.
And then you testified.
So what do you guys think about that? She says she did not remember the call to her sister. It wasn't ingrained in her mind. She says she didn't speak to her sister. So it was 38 seconds long. Part of me would like to, she has said she has an iPhone. I have an iPhone. I'd like to kind of do a test call and call somebody and let it go to voicemail and see what happens. Because she obviously says she went upstairs and woke up Nicole and Brian after they got there. But she didn't talk to her sister Nicole when she made those calls or whatever. So there's that. So what do you guys think of that? Also, guys, there was this other clip I was going to play, and this is the clip where, Kay has Shelty says, so shady. Of course, she spoke to her sister or left a voicemail, and it makes sense that she would. Right. So it's like, if she didn't speak to her, maybe she left a voicemail. So wouldn't that be on Nicole Albert's phone? Because I thought that they all handed over their phones. So wouldn't that be on an extraction? I don't know. So I'd like to know if there was a voicemail. Hollis MJP thinks that she's lying. Christina Franz says, none of what Jen says makes sense to me and has been caught in too many lies, no credibility. Can you please elaborate on what you think she's been caught in lies? like what you believe she's lied about specifically. I'd like to know. Um, I think you're commenting because people are wearing blue. I figured they had a sale on Wedgwood blue up there in Canton. Funny. Oh, Kay has Shelty says, no, we don't have Nicole Albert's phone. That's interesting. Well, okay, then let's ask her. Get her on the stand and ask about it. Harlot Oscara says her voicemail could have picked up and just recorded silence, like if it was an accidental dial, or she called but got distracted or something. It's true. Sorry, I'm trying to go through as many of your comments as I can. Little Munchkin Snarky Dog says that Matt McCabe was asked in trial 1 about the text message. Okay. Well, then I'm sorry I missed that then. Let me know what he said. But obviously Alan Jackson thinks this is a big deal. Here's a little snippet of what he talked about with the group text message. Here we go.
Example, what we've just seen of witnesses colluding with one another about a subject matter that's under investigation, correct?
I'd move for an instruction.
All right, jurors, disregard that comment completely. Disregard that question.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes.
Okay. So the judge felt that was improper and told them to disregard that. Let's go back now to when the feds came knocking on Jen McCabe's door. And she apparently had just gotten home from dropping her kids off at school. The feds are there. She apparently told them she was her sister at first and asked for 10 minutes and then made some phone calls. So let's listen to what Jen McCabe said about this. And this was on Wednesday.
Thank you, Ms. McCabe.
Yes.
Did reviewing those paragraphs refresh your recollection as to whether or not, as to what you told those agents initially? I'm sorry, what you told those officers initially from that other law enforcement agency, about who you contacted in that 10-minute interval?
Yes, I told them.
And you told them that you had contacted your husband, Matt McCabe,
Yes.
and Carrie Roberts.
Correct.
I want to stick with that for just a quick second. One of the first calls you made after being contacted by these other law enforcement officers from a different agency, one of the first calls you made was to Carrie Roberts. Is that right?
She was the first one.
That's what I'm asking. One of the first 2 calls you made, your husband,
Right.
come home, there's law enforcement outside my door, I'm guessing is what you said, correct?
I don't remember my exact words now, but I did ask him to come home. Correct.
And
Yes.
Carrie Roberts.
Okay. Yes.
You wanted to let Ms. Roberts know that you had been contacted by certain officers from a different agency, correct?
I was curious if they had already been to her.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
You also wanted to find out had these law enforcement officers from this different agency contacted her, correct?
Yes, because typically if you
just
enter
asked
our
yes or no.
town, she's.
Ms. McCabe, yes or no?
Oh, sorry. I was just trying to
That's
explain.
okay.
I'm sorry.
Is that why you contacted her, to find out if, in fact, they had contacted her before you? Yes or no?
Yes.
And you also wanted to find out what she told them, if she had been contacted by them, correct? That was your motive in calling her.
No.
So you just wanted to find out, had she been contacted? But
Yes.
if she had said yes, you weren't going to say, and what the hell did they say? What did they ask you?
Well, I can't say what I would have answered, what I would have asked her, but I know I was calling to see if they had been there. Yes, that was correct.
That was your intent.
I called to ask her if they had been there. Yes.
So that was your intent, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Your motive in calling Carrie Roberts at that moment, before your interview, was to ensure that your story would line up with her story, Ms. McCabe. Isn't that right?
No, that is not.
You wanted to find out if she had talked to these particular law enforcement officers and what she had told them so that your story could somehow align or it could inform how you responded to questions that they asked you. Isn't that true?
That's not true. We both know what happened. We don't have to have a story. There is no story. There's what happened, and that's it.
So if that's true, Ms. McCabe, you have no reason to call Carrie and ask her if she had been contacted by these law enforcement agents, because it's just the truth, correct?
We're going through this whole experience together. We call each other about everything.
There would
That's
be no
nothing
reason
more
to
than that.
So
I'm sorry.
Let her finish her answer. Go ahead, Ms. McCabe, you can finish that.
There's nothing more than me calling and saying, hey, did they come to your house? That's what we did when the media showed up, when Miss Reed's private investigator showed up. We just give each other the heads up, hey, somebody's coming, because we're just like normal moms. We're not used to this.
And that's helpful.
Okay, so she's saying, we're normal moms, we're not used to this. So part of me could see that, you're a housewife, driving kids around, you kind of get involved in this, pulled into this thing, and you're like, feds show up on your door. I kind of told Mark Betterow this the other day on the thing. I was like, I work in news and this whole law and crime field. So if the feds came knocking on my door a year later, I'd be like, what the hell? Like, I would be freaking out, and I would ask to talk to a lawyer. I'd be willing to speak with them, but I would speak with a lawyer first. I wouldn't do it without a lawyer present. So that would freak me out. And I'd probably want to know if other people had been contacted too. If I didn't work in this field, let's say I didn't have the background I have, and I didn't work in this field and know how things work, because you should never talk to law enforcement without a lawyer, in my opinion. But if I didn't work in this field, I'd probably be like, I don't know if that's like an unnatural reaction, to like be calling people and be like, did they call you? Have you talked to them? Like, what is going on? So I don't know. Let's see what people are saying. I saw some new people joining the chat. Kay Shelty says, I think she looks so bad when she goes into her charming. To be honest, I had to brush my teeth and then immediately was exposed as lying. She's too comfortable making up stories. Let's see. It looks to me like this lawyer is trying to make her look like a liar, but I don't feel like she's lying. Okay. Harlotte Oscara thinks that Jen McCabe is being honest. Hello, Crime Dog. Welcome. Thanks for coming in. Hello, Karina. Everybody, thank you for watching. If you are just coming in, please remember to put your thumbs up, like, and subscribe. And also, if you're watching on replay, thanks for doing that too. I really, really appreciate it. So I really appreciate everybody coming and visiting my channel. It's great. So Alan Jackson is basically trying to say, anytime the cops came around, these people started acting fishy. Anytime the media came around, they started acting fishy and shady. They're group texting. They're trying to figure out what's going on and calling each other and all this stuff. And it's just a little too much for him. So this is what, I had Natalie Whittingham Burrell. She is at Natalie Lawyer Chick on YouTube. And she said yesterday on the lunch show, she basically said, as a defense attorney, you take little things and try to make them big things. And basically that's what Alan Jackson's doing. Taya Toys is in the house. Oh my God, I'm also wearing purple. Well, it's one of my favorite colors. So thanks for coming in and thanks for wearing purple. So Taya Toys is a funny, funny guy. And I actually saw that he used a snippet of me in one of his funny videos on Twitter. So that was pretty good. Thanks guys for watching. I really appreciate it. It's so fun to be hanging out with you on a Saturday night. Let's get to some more clips. And I've got so many clips that I keep having to delete them to fit more in. So I probably won't be able to get to everything I want to get to. But I'm doing my best. So let's see. Yeah. So Beautiful Messy Ball says you have to be careful with colors in this case. Well, guess what? That's why I'm wearing this, because before I had a pinkish flannel on. I had a flannel shirt on for the Donna Adelson live, and it's this really comfy flannel I have, but it's got some pink tones in it. And I just really can't be having people saying like, oh my God, I'm sending like some subliminal secret message by wearing a flannel that has pink in it. Because I have, I'm here telling you what I think of these clips, and we're talking about this, and everybody's welcome. So I'm not here taking a side. So yes, I'm cognizant of that every day at work as well. So we've got some people in the house. This is awesome. JG Cruz says, watching while eating some crawfish here in Louisiana. Well, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate that. I really do. I'm going through some more of your messages. Karen was framed says Jen was polished and held up well, but for me, she had a long time, months to go over her testimony. I mean, I thought she held up well. Christina Franz says Jen is not credible to me also because she won't answer cues in a straightforward manner. Too much show me the paper for things that should roll off her tongue if truthful. Nima 19079 says Jen was great on the stand. So let's go now. Sorry, let's go now to another clip. And this is where, sorry guys, trying to remove something from the studio so I can fit more clips in. We did the 507 call, I think, trying to remove some stuff so we can get more stuff in. Here's something about what Jen McCabe says that Karen Reed said that morning. There's still a big dispute over this. Like, did she say, could I have hit him, or did I hit him, I hit him, I hit him? We've heard testimony from a few people now who say that she said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Where now Karen Reed says she was saying more, could I have hit him? That it was a question.
Scan it and let me know when you're done.
Okay, is there something specific I should be looking for?
I don't think you're going to find it, Ms. McCabe. It's for I hit him.
This is about, Alan Jackson's asking her about her grand jury testimony and whether she told the grand jury, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. He's like basically saying you're not going to find it in there because you didn't testify to that in front of the grand jury back in 2022.
So again, jurors disregard the comments. So it's question, answer format only.
My question is, do you see the phrase, I hit him, as it's attributable to my client in that report?
Objection.
System.
Do you recall telling Trooper Proctor that my client said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him?
Objection.
Do you recall that?
Yes, I told him.
Oh, wait, guys, sorry. Maybe I messed that up. It was probably Trooper Proctor's notes that this is about, not the grand jury testimony. So I apologize. Trooper Proctor's notes.
He was taking notes at the time.
He was taking notes, correct?
View that report.
Okay, so Trooper Proctor's report, she says he was taking notes. I'm like, why doesn't anybody in this case record these interviews? Like, you can do it on your iPhone. Why are you taking notes? My God, take notes and record it. Like, hello. Just wait till this Proctor guy gets on the stand. It may be worse than last time now that he's actually fired. So let's move on to something else. Soph says Jen is supposed to be the only one that heard the I hit him. Jen only remembered her saying I hit him last year. Okay. Alessi never sleeps says plausible deniability. Ha ha. I don't know. Is that in regards to me talking about record stuff and take notes? I think that's what you were talking about. Beautiful Messy Ball says the way Alan Jackson's cross comes across really depends on how much you know about the case and how much you saw of the first trial. So your perspective is much appreciated. Okay. Well, I'll tell you this right now. Alan Jackson is doing this cross for these jurors. And so these jurors went through voir dire. So this cross should be for them. And if these jurors watched this trial gavel to gavel, they shouldn't be on this jury. You know, if they watched the first trial gavel to gavel. So they shouldn't be on the jury if that happened, if they did that. So Harlot Oscara says, I don't think the dog did that to his arm. Where were its bottom teeth if it was a dog? That's a good question. Messica asks, what happens if it's another hung jury? Well, in the docuseries, one of John O'Keefe's friends said that the Commonwealth has indicated they'll try it again. So we'll see. We'll see if they will, if that happens. I'm looking through your comments to make sure I don't miss anything. The Rockaways says, Jen McCabe and Nuttall have both reshaped their testimony for the state's new narrative for trial 2. That's what destroys their credibility. Well, if that's what the defense believes has happened, then it's incumbent upon them to point that out. Naven says, where was the saliva from the dog? This is where someone says pig ears. Yeah, there was pig DNA. There wasn't any dog DNA. And now I'm sure somebody will say, yeah, but they were carrying the clothes around and somebody didn't check it into the locker for weeks, something to that effect. So let's go now to, I'm trying to not, now I'm getting kind of confused as to what clips I played.
Questions about who you
We already played that one. That was the 507. Sorry about that, guys. So let's go now to more about the Google search. So here's some more about the Google search. It came up again, or this is from Wednesday. I'm sorry. So let's do more on the Google search.
And at that point, Miss Reed started yelling to Miss Roberts, go check on him. Are they working on him? Is he dead? Is he dead? And at that point, myself and Miss Reed got out of the car, and she started yelling and pulling on me to Google hypothermia and Google how long it takes for somebody, you know, to die in the cold.
When the defendant first asked you to Google an inquiry about hypothermia, were you still inside the police cruiser or were you outside?
Outside.
What was the weather? I know it's an obvious question, but how cold was it?
It was very cold, windy, the snow was blowing. As I stated, I have multiple sclerosis, so when I am out in either extremely hot or cold temperatures, I lose the feeling and sensation in my fingers, which obviously made the Googling very hard for me to do because of my, you know, motor skills.
So when you were outside of the car with the defendant and she had asked you to do a search regarding hypothermia, did you try to do that?
Yes, I did.
Do you know the exact time from your memory? Not from reading or learning, but from your memory. Do you remember the exact time you did that?
No.
Was it after the police came that morning?
Yes.
Had you ever attempted to search about hypothermia any time before that moment, that morning?
No.
Or that day?
No.
That week?
No.
Was this the first time that morning after the defendant asked you to search that you searched that phrase?
Yes, it was.
And did you complete your search and get a result?
So I don't know what came up because I think as I entered it, I think I misspelled things. And so then I think I tried a second search And again, I don't think I even paid attention to what came up because we were already on to the next thing. Karen was already moving and screaming about, the next thing to Kerry. They were.
Okay, guys. So what did you think about that? Did you believe Jen McCabe there when she's talking about when this Google search occurred, and she's talking about, this is direct examination. She's talking about it occurring when they were at the house on Fairview after John's body had been found. Umpire's bad calls says, yes, I believed her. Liz McKenzie says, no, of course I didn't believe Jen McCabe. Okay, tell me why in the chat. Beautiful Messy Ball says, I clearly have a side and a perspective. Knowing too much about the case, I am having trouble seeing this one through the lens of the jurors. Okay. Hollis MGP says, why was the rock left when the jury visited? Isn't that some form of tampering? Actually, we went back. I'm pretty sure we went back, and if I'm wrong, I'll correct this, but I'm pretty sure our people went back and found that rock in the last trial too. So I don't know. But I thought they went back and saw the rock, unless it was from the fresh jury view footage from this trial. But I thought that our people went back and saw it in the other one. I don't know. I don't know about the Albert rock. I don't know who put it there. Maybe the homeowner still had it. Maybe it was in the garage somewhere. Who knows? I have no idea. Let's look at some of what else you guys are saying. Little Munchkin Snarky Dog says, I found Matt McCabe's answer to tell them the guy never went in the house. He replied with, John never went into the house. It's not a story. It's a fact. Okay. Alessi Never Sleeps, who is Marissa J, says she spent a lot of time reading reports and not answering from memory. Okay, so let's go now to this happened toward the end of the day yesterday, and I found this pretty interesting. Because this happened toward the end of the day. And I saw some commentary about this on Twitter, but I feel like people were kind of mishearing or they weren't hearing this bit of testimony the way I was hearing it. So I'm going to play it, and I want to know what you guys think about it.
I had no reason to think that they weren't okay.
You had no reason to believe they weren't okay.
And this is about her not like running into the house to get Brian and Nicole when she first got there, because he's like, how did you not know other people in the house weren't in danger? John O'Keefe's laying in the snow. And this is Alan Jackson toward the end of the day yesterday. He's laying out there in the snow, injured really badly. And he's like, why are you not running into the house to check on other people? He's like questioning like her actions from that day. And so here's this exchange.
I had no reason to think that they weren't okay.
You had no reason to believe they weren't okay. A man was dead or dying on their lawn, and your sister's not answering the phone. And nobody is coming out to the chaos of Karen Reed screaming on the front lawn. You didn't think there was some reason to believe they could have been in peril?
I didn't, because your client was screaming she hit him. She had a cracked taillight. She was crying she hit him. I didn't, but my focus... Can I finish, please?
You had solved the crime right then and there. You solved the whole case.
No, I didn't. I knew John never came in the house, so I had no concern for anyone's safety inside the house.
The reason you didn't go inside the house is because you knew better. You knew better. You knew she wasn't in peril. You knew that Brian Albert wasn't in peril. You weren't worried at all about them, were you?
I was not worried at all because something happened on the front lawn that had nothing to do with anything inside that house.
You weren't worried about them at all because you knew what really happened, didn't you, Inspector?
At that moment, I didn't know that he was hit by a vehicle and there was taillight found next to him.
That's all I have.
All right, jurors.
So I saw people on Twitter saying stuff like, "How? Oh, you're saying she was saying she knew there was taillight next to him." Well, that's not what she said. So I'm going to replay that again. She's saying she didn't know that. So let me play that again because I saw people saying like he caught her in some big aha, but I didn't see it that way.
Them, were you?
I was not worried at all because something happened on the front lawn that had nothing to do with anything inside that house.
You weren't worried about them at all because you knew what really happened, didn't you, Inspector?
At that moment, I didn't know that he was hit by a vehicle and there was taillight found next to him.
That's all I have.
So she's saying at that moment she didn't know that he was hit by a vehicle and there was taillight next to him. So she's saying she didn't know that at that moment. So I think people are misconstruing what she said. I thought that she was kind of saying that as kind of a little like a little dig. Like at that moment, she didn't know he was hit by a vehicle and there was taillight next to him. So I don't know. That's how I took that. I had to listen to it twice because I was seeing that on Twitter yesterday that people were saying that. I'm like, I don't think that's what she said. So I just thought I should replay that. She said at that time, I didn't know. I'll play it again though.
Something happened on the front lawn that had nothing to do with anything inside that house.
You weren't worried about them at all because you knew what really happened, didn't you, Inspector?
At that moment, I didn't know that he was hit by a vehicle and there was taillight found next to him.
That's all I have.
She said at that moment, I didn't know that he was hit by a vehicle and there was taillight found next to him. She said she didn't know it. So people keep saying she said she did know. So I was a little confused when I saw that commentary on Twitter. So I don't know. I saw that commentary on Twitter and I thought it was super misleading. It was a little disappointing because I saw it by some people who have pretty big followings, and I feel like it was really, you have to be careful. You have to like state things correctly. So she was responding to a question by Alan Jackson. So let's see what else I've got. Oh, let me play this. So here's the redirect. So Hank Brennan brought up other text messages that she had sent the day of other text messages that she had sent, and I guess these were the day of the event, and she was talking about what had happened, and she was talking with her sister and some other people.
Messages from that morning and the next day. You were asked about some of them on the screen. Do you remember that?
I'm going to play this. I'm going to speed it up so we're not sitting here all night.
Yes.
Okay, and you were asked how that affected your state of mind and the decisions that you were making, correct?
Yes.
I want to read along, and I'll indicate if you look at the number on the left, and then I'll read it, and you can let me know if I read it accurately.
Okay.
Starting at number 17, there's a phone call saying, please answer. Who are you calling?
I'm sorry, where does it
May I
say?
approach?
Yes.
Oh, that's the number right
This
there.
would be the number. This would be the call. This would
Okay.
be-
Okay, so it's John O'Keefe. Okay. Thanks, sorry.
Number 17, phone call, please answer. Who are you calling?
John O'Keefe.
Do you know at that point where he is?
No.
459-49, number 18. Karen is worried. We need to find you.
John O'Keefe.
504-40, number 19. Please answer so I know you're okay. Who are you calling?
John O'Keefe.
Number 26, 515-41, 129. Okay, I'm trying to call people. I will be in touch soon. Do you know who you're calling?
I don't recognize the number.
What are you thinking at this point?
I'm trying to find people. I'm trying to call people so that I can try to find John.
Number 31, 522.
Oh, wait.
At this point in the morning, you're making these phone calls. Do you know where John is?
No, I have no idea where he is.
Turn to number 48, 129-22 at 8:44. You're texting any update. What is your state of mind?
Which number is this?
Number 48.
48. I believe that may be to Kerry Roberts, and I'm trying to get an update from the hospital.
You were asked about your relationship with Kerry Roberts. At that time, before that night, how many times had you met her?
Once.
And you said in the moment, did that relationship change?
Yes, instantly.
Was it for collusion?
No.
Let me ask you, number 160. This is 129 at 2 in that afternoon. Do you have 160?
Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, I'm here.
160. Do you see that?
Mhm.
Okay. I can't stop seeing him in the snow. Jen, this is awful. Who's that from?
Kerry.
Is your state of mind collusion?
No.
Objection.
I'll allow it and ask you again, please, Mr. Chairman.
168. 129-22 at 2:04:32. You're calling Miss Roberts. Every time I close my eyes, it's all I see. I feel like I'm going to vomit. I just can't even. I know how close you two were. Can't imagine how hard the situation is for you. Does this reflect your state of mind that day?
Yeah.
I'll allow it. Objections noted. Next question.
We need to approach on this particular text.
Come to sideline close session.
Yes.
So this text message, is this what you wrote?
The hospital.
You were asked about your relationship with Kerry Roberts. At that time, before that night, how many times had you met her?
Once.
And you said in the moment, did that relationship change?
Yes, instantly.
Was it for collusion?
No.
Let me ask you, number 160. This is 129 at 2 in that afternoon. Do you have 160?
Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, I'm here.
160. You see that?
Mhm.
Okay. I can't stop seeing him in the snow. Jen, this is awful. Who's that from?
Kerry.
Is your state of mind collusion?
No.
Objection.
I'll allow it and ask you again, please, Mr. Chairman.
168. 129-22 at 2:04:32. You're calling Miss Roberts. Every time I close my eyes, it's all I see. I feel like I'm going to vomit. I just can't even. I know how close you two were. Can't imagine how hard the situation is for you. Does this reflect your state of mind that day?
Yeah.
I'll allow it. Objections noted. Next question.
We need to approach on this particular text.
Come to sideline.
I won't read that last text message again. However, it is correct that text message was from you to Miss Roberts, number 168.
Yes, it was.
And the response in this text message, number 169, from Miss Roberts to you, you were also, this is awful, Jen, I'm in shock.
Yes.
Number 170, and this one is from Miss Roberts to you, 129-22 at 2:05:45. I literally am having wine. I don't know what to do. Calm down.
Yes.
171 at 2:06:35 on 129-22 from you to Miss Roberts. I know I am definitely in shock and it keeps hitting me. I just feel so sick. Is that accurate?
Yes.
I'm going to read one more. 172. And this is from Ms. Roberts to you at 2:13:41 on 129:22. I don't know what to even do. I'm so sorry for both of us. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Number 175. Again to Ms. Roberts, 2:14:15, 129:22. Do you text, I talked to Peggy, I am devastated for them?
Yes.
Did you follow up seconds later at 2:14:56 on 129:22? I am so sick to my stomach.
Yes.
That day, did you have to speak to your children about what happened?
I did. Yes.
Was that part of your state of mind that day?
Yes.
I'll allow that.
Number 208 or 207. You received a text from this number. I don't want to say it out loud, but if you could read it, 207, do you know who that's from?
I don't.
Okay, we'll move to the next one then. 208, 129:22, 342:06. I've never felt so sick. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Number 210, 433:40, 129:22. You text messaging somebody?
Yes.
Do you know who that is?
I don't, just off of the number.
Okay. And this text message, is this from you to somebody?
Yes.
My mind is racing. I have that awful feeling in my gut like I'm about.
I'll allow it. Sent by this witness allegedly.
My mind is racing. I have that awful feeling in my gut like I am about to puke. Besides seeing the awful image, trying to wrap my head around what happened to him. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Two 213. This is on 129:22 at 438:20. Do you know who was texting you?
Yes.
Who?
My friend.
Once things settle, you need to talk to someone and process the trauma. And then 214, you respond, 129:22, 440:38. I've been shaking since this AM. I feel so sick. Everything started to be a blur and all run into each other.
Yes.
And this is at 440:38 at 129:22.
Yes.
And during that day, you spoke to law enforcement
Yes.
and the days that follow.
Yes.
I'm going to move to 129:22, 752. If you look at number 289, please.
Okay.
At 289, is this a text from your sister, Nicole?
Yes.
Any update? Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And you were shown this text at 292,
Yes.
and you texted your sister, Carrie talked to cops, kept it simple.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, the cops had gone for a house, but she had had a long day and been drinking some wine, so she said she just made it quick.
And you were sharing that with your sister?
Yes.
And was your sister part of many of these texts as part of your support group?
Yes.
Did anybody tell you that you shouldn't rely on your family and have a conversation about what you went through?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
No, no one did.
And during that text time, the one I just read to you was at 7:54:38. You turned to 296, 129:22 at 7:56:50. Did your sister text you, okay, try to get some sleep, talk tomorrow?
Yes.
And did you text back at 7:57? Yes, but don't feel pressure.
Yes.
And the next one, 298 at 7:57:07. Was your sister asking you for any updates?
Yes.
And at 7:57:13, did she text you, I love you, don't beat yourself up, you did the best you could?
Yes.
And just a few minutes later, one at number 308, please, 129:22 at 8:01 p.m.
Mhm.
Did your sister again write to you, okay, text me in the AM if you hear anything later?
Yes.
And you continue texting with her?
Yes.
You were asked about timeline?
Yes.
Can you turn to number 761, please?
$761.
761, please.
What page is that on?
248?
I'm missing page 248.
You don't have a 2 page 48?
No, it stops at 2:12 and picks up at 2:53.
May I stand with the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Do you know who this number is? Who's calling you?
That's my sister,
Which one?
Nicole.
And she's texting you, news people came by and knocked on the door again. They're all leaving now, Peggy, and then left about 15 minutes ago.
Yes.
And then at 1 o'clock, 18 seconds on 1:32:22, he texts back, did you answer the door?
Correct.
Was this part of your state of mind on the 31st, what was going on around the house?
Yes.
Just a few more. In trying to recount for people who asked you that morning and over the next couple days, some of what's reflected in those text messages, was that part of your state of mind?
Yes.
Was it in any way affecting the way you were remembering and thinking about what had happened?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Yes.
Your Honor, subject to redactions, I would seek to introduce all of Ms. McCabe's text messages.
So we'll deal with that later. Is there an objection?
There is.
We'll deal with that later.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay, guys, sorry about that. So, there was a question in there that I guess I missed, or that we missed when I skipped ahead. Brennan had asked her, because she and Carrie were working on a timeline, why she was doing a timeline with Carrie, because this has come up on Cross and it's come up a lot in questioning, like, why are you guys working on your timeline? And it came up, Peggy O'Keefe was asked about this too. Brennan asked her, and who asked you to put that timeline together? And she said Peggy. And Peggy O'Keefe had, I think, testified about that too, that she told them they needed to get a timeline together of what happened. So that's why they were working on their timeline. So there's that. So after the testimony ended, he played more clips. And these clips obviously are from news interviews and the investigation discovery documentary. So let's add that to the stage, and let's listen to the clips that he played for the jury. Oh, Raynette, thank you so much for being a first timer. I appreciate that. Tara Boothby says, came across this by accident. So I appreciate you coming across me by accident. So please like and subscribe, guys. I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So let's listen to the clips that were played after this.
There was a woman who was a mother to kids that were close to John's kids, who lived very close to the outlets. In fact, when Jen was navigating John to the outlets when I was driving, she said, it's near Ashley's house. Ashley and John were hooked up prior to John and I dating. There was a woman.
Hold on before you play it
We've
again.
already played that one. We don't need to play it again.
Okay.
12A, please.
Two things. Either he's hurt himself and is incapacitated. He could be passed out on someone's couch, which is just weird. We're not on a campus. Everyone lives in their own home with children. Or he's sleeping with someone. And there were multiple women in the neighborhood of Fairview that John had been with. And one of them very recently, before I started dating John.
Clip 16, please.
We'll backtrack later. Let's start at 3-4 So who are you with? I'm with Jen McCabe and Carrie Roberts. And Carrie Roberts is Ford Explorer. and I'm in the back, leaning over the front two seats. Carrie's driving and Jen's in the passenger seat. And I describe this to everyone, so you've probably heard this before, but John looked like a buffalo on the prairie. It was just a lawn and a heat that it wasn't a bush or a hydrant or a dog. It was a weird shaped lump at that time in those elements. And I was looking to find him on the side of the road. I was expecting I'd find him. And the fear of what I was going to see is the worst feeling I've ever experienced. The anticipation of what is awaiting me was as extreme a feeling. I wouldn't say it was as extreme a feeling as the grief of realizing what happened to him.
Okay, so let me explain those clips to you. Basically, she's talking about Ashley, a woman John had, the theory is that the mention of Ashley, this woman John had dated before, sparked this big argument. That's the Commonwealth's theory. So you've got two clips where she said she heard Jen directing him to go to, it's by Ashley's house. Then she talks about how, we don't live on a campus. Could he be, and there's multiple women on Fairview that John had been with. So she's thinking, she was thinking, he could be at one of these houses. I think this plays into the whole, the voicemails that were left after she leaves the scene or after she leaves Fairview. And then she talks about finding John or thinking she said she expected to find him on the side of the road. Why would she expect to find him on the side of the road? I'd be interested to know more about that. And she's talking about seeing him like a buffalo on the prairie. Seems like a weird way to describe him. But she also said she expected to find him there. Why? It seems weird to me. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I was really, really appreciative of everybody tuning in. We're going to wrap it up for tonight. This went a little longer than I expected, but I appreciate everybody coming and hanging out with me. We still have a lot more trial to go. We're only basically 2 weeks into this, and I think Jen McCabe might have been up there longer than they anticipated. But on your way out, please remember to like and subscribe. Again, thanks so much for coming on, and we'll talk more about this in the weeks ahead. And everybody have a great evening. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Oh, and remember, tell me what you think and if there are any cases you want me to talk about. And I'll see you again another time. Have a great night. Bye.